Good evening and welcome to the show. It's Friday night once again, and we all know what Friday night means. It's time for another episode of Drinking Digital, the first and only weekly podcast here in the Philippines that talks exclusively about digital communications. This is episode 17 of Drinking Digital, and I am your host, Ricky Baizas, Digital Marketing Executive for Nestle Philippines. We got a full house tonight, and I'll let them introduce themselves, starting with the gentleman on the left.
Yes, I'm Norris Liboan. I'm the president of the Philippine Open Source Network.
I'm Francis Tan. I'm a consultant for digital strategy for Microsoft.
My name is Tony An. I'm the head of digital services and digital spokesperson for Geyser McConnell Marketing Communications Incorporated.
Hi, I'm Marga Diona. Like Francis, I'm also a digital marketing strategist for Microsoft Philippines.
And I'm Jay Rufino. I'm the director for mobile and ebooks of the Inquire Group.
And that last chair is for Mr. Hans Roas Chua, former president of the IMAP, who will join us in a few minutes. Before everything else, we'd like to remind everyone we are broadcasting live from Beyond the Box here in One Rockwell. And before anything else, we have an announcement here. Check this out. The 2012 Women at the Top, Asia's most informed meeting place for women leaders, marketers, and advertisers. Go check that out on February 23 to 24 at the Diamond Hotel Manila. Please check out worldwideweb.arcmediaglobal.com/women for more information, or call +65 6844 2080 or email them at women@arcmediaglobal.com to register today. Okay, we have our very own Marga Diona who's going to be speaking in this event, so do check it out. And guys, let's talk about digital.
Okay.
So, what happened this week? What any memes, any campaigns that got the attention of the digital world this week? We can start with, of course, Whitney Houston. I think nowadays when somebody does pass on, it becomes big news and everybody talks about it for days on end because of social media and the internet. Your thoughts?
It was said that like half an hour before the regular news people broke it to everybody, it's already on social media.
It's spread on the internet right away.
So you get first glimpse of whatever's happening anywhere in the world via social media. So it's very good for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, on our end it was like I saw it break on social media, but we were also like, we were also like basically checking also on stuff because there have also been many fake death reports.
Yes.
And we did not want to be caught up in that.
Like Bon Jovi, there was a Bon Jovi.
Even Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves.
Yes.
What happens is that when there's real death, there's always this thing that they're trying to, people are prying for that, so they're trying to come up with this fake. But the thing is, the same media that breaks it is also media that debunks it. You notice right away that that Keanu Reeves thing was not, it wasn't getting any traction. So clearly, that has no legs, basically.
And talking about
There was
stuff.
actually a report that surfaced that Whitney Houston's death was a hoax.
Oh,
So
okay.
a lot of people, of course, the initial reaction was R.I.P. Whitney Houston, and then somebody suddenly tweeted, ABC News or some other news bureau reported that
Without a link.
Without the link.
Yeah.
But when the link surfaced, some journalist friends quickly noted that it was dated September 2011.
Yeah.
So there was still a chance that Whitney passed on, and sadly enough, she really did.
All right, and talking about stuff that catches fire online, I'm sure you've all seen that new meme spreading around wherein you say what you do, and then
What people think.
various pictures of what people think, what your mom thinks, and what you actually do, and so on and so forth. It seems like it's the new meme now,
Meme of the
and
week.
it seems that it's easier to adopt because it's just a photo and some text, and so you find some people doing their own version of it right away. What are some of the funny ones that you've seen this week?
The memes I've seen, this is like from 9gag. They have like what lawyers think of themselves.
Lawyers, okay, okay. I haven't seen this.
Yeah, so it's really funny because a lot of people, since it's easy to make So you don't need a very complicated graphic editing
That's right.
tool. And right on the fly, on the top of your head, you can create those memes.
Yeah, you can just go on Google Images and
Yeah.
create your own, right? So it's easier. I saw one about stay-at-home moms from my sister-in-law, and it was hilarious. So I don't know how long it will last, but it seems it's catching on, right?
Have you seen anyone sort of riding on the meme for marketing purposes, or
Wait,
is it an organic meme so far?
Yeah, the thing with
organic.
I think the thing with how brands do it or businesses would be they have to get it approved, so it's harder to do. As opposed to just making fun of just a general occupation.
But is that something like a brand should be doing? Like, oh, this is organic, it's trending, it's quick, and you sort of can ride on it very quickly, or is the danger there that it could backfire on you badly if you
it could,
if you
because
ride the meme and
because as you see, right? I mean, some of these photos would have some sexy pictures in there just so it becomes funny and compelling, right? So I don't know how brands can ride on it unless you're someone like a Diesel or maybe a Red Bull, where you sort of work around in the edge and everything.
Yeah, you
right?
could be edgy or irreverent.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't know.
And you probably have to have a lot of trust in whoever's handling your social media.
Yeah,
That's
that's
right.
right.
Brand really well.
That's
He can
right.
riff without falling off the cliff.
Yeah, but I guess we'll see more of that in the days to come because it's only starting to catch fire, right? I remember it started with the first one I saw was about media buyers. I don't know. if
Yeah,
you've
I saw
seen
that was the first one.
That was the
That was
first one that came out, I
Yeah.
think.
And I know exactly, and I know whose wall I first saw it in.
Oh, okay.
I was like, okay, yeah.
But do we have any idea
It's a guy
where,
from advertising.
where it originated from? Also,
That's actually a very interesting question. Where do memes originate?
where do they
from?
start, right? Or can you actually trace?
And it's actually
where
a
it
problem
starts?
in news desk because we want to attribute, but how do you attribute the meme?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you got all you can say is this thing is around.
Yeah.
Which
Nobody
is,
wants to take. Yeah.
No, and honestly, there might be something good if you could some way of tracing the origin of a meme.
Yeah.
You'll never know who the seeders are,
Mhm.
or if it's just something that came up.
No, but that's the thing. It seems like every week or every couple of days, there's always something new that catches fire online, right? So now it's this thing. You don't even know what to call it, right? I mean, sometimes you don't want to call it a meme because not everybody knows what a meme is. So
And it could be mispronounced.
Meme.
Yeah,
I wish they had a name for that those 6 squares with the black and the text and everything, because there's nothing, there's no label attached to it so far.
But do you think that should memes be organic, or should brands try to create memes the way so-called amateur videos are created on YouTube, or is that playing with fire?
I don't know. That's very hard though. It's a dream of mine to actually come up with a meme, but part of it being a meme is it really has to be irreverent. It has to be a little out there. So I don't know if brands speak that language, right?
Something I'd be interested in doing if I had free time is taking like a scientific look at the legs that memes have. That like some memes they come up, you see them for 3 days and then they're gone.
Yeah,
Some of them stay up for weeks,
That's
for
right.
months. That's right. And I'd be interested in looking at the factors that go into that. Like I mean, ease of creation is going to be one of them. If it's a video meme, there's a lot less people that know how to edit video and can create new versions, right? But if it's something where you just got to if you could do it in Microsoft Paint, then it's much easier to participate in. So I would look at participation factors and ease of use.
But Tony, that's actually something like maybe university social anthro department should be looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd be interested to see if they've done any work like that, because if you could boil down what those factors are, then it would make it a lot more likely that you could create one that would have legs and go.
And some memes have second lives, like,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nobody knew that. Why, and then nobody knew, and then.
Yeah. No, that like 2 weeks ago we were talking about that shit blank say video. And I still see some cropping up, like shit cyclists say, shit French people say. It's still
Shit
going on.
CEOs say.
No, and then it gets to the point when at risk of betraying my age, like there was a very popular song in my college that got every single variation. It got so many
Which song is
variations.
this?
You know that song.
Okay, do that.
Yeah, more than words.
Oh, okay.
I mean, to this day, I can't listen to it without like, I still have a visceral reaction because it got overplayed. So some memes can get to the point.
Yeah. No, but
I think that meme, the shit Black says, is gonna hit
A
that
Rick
point
as
sooner
he
or later.
meme is timeless. That for one. Get Rick rolling.
Yeah, that keeps on recurring. Once,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
The latest one was made by an Athenian.
Okay.
It's
Oh, the one on the book. The one on the book. Or on a paper, right?
On a paper, yeah. He submitted for his History 166 class. And then, it just... At first, it will just look like a reaction paper for a Malacanang visit. If you read the first words of every...
Yes,
it's never gonna give you up.
That was crazy. That was crazy. But talking about again, going back to the shit blank says videos, I think that one confidently we can say or we can attribute to that Twitter account, the shit my dad says.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think we can say that's the guy who started it, as opposed to these other.
It's a show by the Shat, William Shatner. So it's and it's also a book. It's a book. Then
That's right. It became a book. Yeah. So I think we can attribute it to that.
Yeah.
Although that was a Twitter account, it's not really a video, but you can see the origins and everything. And again, this week, Jeremy Lin is just all over the internet, man. And in fact,
I think he's cute.
I've seen females actually getting turned off by their feed because it was all about basketball, right? They'd see Jeremy Lin or whatever. Yeah, so I think that's social media is really helping this guy.
Yeah, even Floyd Mayweather's taking shots at him, and Manny Pacquiao trying to defend because Floyd Mayweather raised out the race card. So
Oh no, he did.
Oh, yes, he did.
Yeah, I think it's a good. It shows that social media will not just be contained onto pop culture or whatever events. It transcends into sports events that everybody can relate to. Like girls can relate to basketball when it happens.
You should see it. There was a report in International Herald Tribune about it's also becoming a mainland China Taiwan thing because he was raised in Taiwan, but his family came from a particular town in mainland China, so the mainland China is like, hey, no, he came from this place.
Everyone's taking ownership of where he came from.
And it's becoming especially since Yao Ming's retired, so they're now looking for the next great
Asian player.
Yeah.
So like the highlights of his games are now social media fodder, or at least it fuels the conversation.
It's also an unexpected story.
Yeah,
It helped fuel it.
that's right.
I think
Nobody saw him coming.
nobody saw him coming, and I think novelty is a very powerful thing online.
Yeah, that's why what Tony was saying earlier. I really don't think you can manufacture these things because there's a spontaneity, a novelty involved in it, a serendipitousness.
You can just ride on it.
I wasn't saying that you can manufacture them. I think more that you can optimize them. If you're going to do one anyway, if we already know that there's a harder way or an easier way because we've studied it, that you can make choices in how you do it. I mean, the bottom line is if it's not funny or thought provoking, it's not going to fly. But if it is, then you might be able to make it last longer.
Or you can create an environment, some sort of like throw the building blocks of life together in a soup, and sooner or later something will percolate.
Right.
Yeah, but you having those things in place, but still there has to be that magic within the concept.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ricky, I'm sorry. I'm tweeting live from the event. What's the URL again to get people to tune in?
Please check us out at battleaxenetwork.com if you want to view us live. We're streaming from Beyond the Box here in One Rock.
Thank you.
Okay, any other interesting stuff online this week? Anything that people were talking about, tweeting about, posting on their
Mountain
wall?
Lion, it just came out.
Mountain Lion is all over the
Mountain
place.
Lion, yeah.
And earlier this morning, there's a bunch of tweets reacting to what the Globe CEO
Ernest
said.
Koo said, yes.
So
Which
it
has
came
been
down
said
early in the
before.
morning. So and it was, I think, JP Riri said that it was old news, but it was
Rehashed by Rappler.
By Rappler this morning. That's why it gathered steam.
I think there can be a gap. It could be old news, but if it's sufficiently old news, you can bring it out again.
Yeah.
Because it is, it's actually valid because it is a relevant issue. It remains relevant even now. So,
I think the bulk of Globe's consumer base, customer base, is reliant on their wanting to avail of Only services. That's why a lot of people stay with Globe is because of and then it caused such outrage when the news head said Globe to cease unlimited services. And to add fuel to the fire, Mr. Koo was quoted as saying that it is they're doing that to curb abusive users, which I think is very bad PR for you to use the word abusive when you could have used something more sober or something more diplomatic.
And I also wanted to bring up the explosive growth of Pinterest. I think now is the time. It's I mean, we've talked about it before that it's coming up and everything, but now I think it's exploded, and you can see that.
Yeah, you've been pinning like a girl, man.
Yeah, I started, because I really want to see what content gets really pinned, right?
He's been pinning like a girl.
What does that mean, like a girl?
No,
how do you feel like a girl?
No, I came up with a board called The Kitchen. Because I wanted to see if they would get
in
in.
Something,
So So, but now you can see through the velocity of the followers. I mean, people suddenly adding you. Then you can see that it's really gaining speed now. It's catching up on the mainstream. But then what's up with people putting up accounts and then when you go to their page, there's nothing there? What's up with that, though, right?
Are they lurking?
They have zero bids. Come on!
They could be trying to figure out how it fits into their, like I have this and this and this and that.
Yeah,
what's
social
like
media.
Pinterest for? And then it's basically at this point, everyone there's something new comes up. Is
Yes,
another one. Is this really? Do I really have to be on this?
Do I have to populate?
So a lot of people will go into something to determine if it's for them or not, and then some people will get really into it, and some people won't. So,
Like Google Plus.
And some people
some people are really into it.
and some people sign in just to reserve the name.
That's
Just
yes.
But it's
Just-
news,
they just- it's your-
especially like I was talking like to fashion lifestyle journalists, and they say it's great for them because a lot of their note taking, where that sort of beat, it's visual.
Yeah.
So it's the Wall Street Journal called it visual note taking because because this beat it's all about the dress or something. So rather than describe the dress, you're gonna.
Apart from that, I think Pinterest is establishing itself as a content curator instead of a content instead of let's say a platform where people could originally post content, because what you do is when you for instance read through websites or just Google something and you see something that you like, all you have to do is pin it so that you will have a visual reference for something.
It's kind of like a sort of revised version of bookmarking.
Yes,
Yeah.
Instead of
exactly.
people reflectively bookmarking stuff as they used to, they're now pinning it.
You know, it's kind of similar to now what Delicious is doing. Have you guys seen the new Delicious? They've got their stacks, right? It's kind of like Pinterest, except it's not just pictures. It's pictures or it's articles or things like that. You can put them in these stacks and organize them.
So what you're basically seeing is there's certain things online that don't change. It's just that the outward form, there are variations.
Well, what I find interesting about Pinterest is it's getting that much traffic, and you still need to. I think you need to get an invite to access it. So I don't know. I think it adds to the excitement, the exclusivity.
And one thing I noticed as a female user, and since yes, and Pinterest
Well, in the U.S.
In the US.
and Pinterest
UK, not so.
No.
and Pinterest is predominantly female. You get follows from people who have absolutely no connection to you, but who share similar
So it's a bit like
boards.
Twitter in that.
Yes, and although it's more nuanced because it's a lot easier to detect who has interests in what.
Yeah, it's suspicious.
Yeah, because for instance, I have a board I call MLDific Aspirations because I love shoes, and it's my most repinned board because there are a lot of women.
Women and shoes.
Yeah, women in shoes. And second,
What's the most repins that you got for like a photo of a shoe?
shoes, a pair of nude pumps.
And how many repins would you get?
I
Or
think
did you get?
I think I got 8 in just 30 minutes.
Okay.
And that's not even a lot, considering I'm not following a lot and not a lot follow me. It's just, I think with Pinterest, when you go through the dashboard, you automatically see random pins depending on interests, similar to yours.
Yeah.
So when you spot a visual that immediately captivates you, you instinctively go to it and then repin it, no, regardless of whom it came from. If the person who pinned it is a friend of
what do you
yours
think
or
about
otherwise.
there was some news earlier that this Pinterest had a sort of stealth way.
The underhanded links, the affiliate,
affiliated links in quotes, but I mean, you can you can alter the link if you want to.
Yeah.
It's not like that.
You know, the statistic I think came out last week. Pinterest is now getting more traffic than LinkedIn.
Oh, wow.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
But so I've been using it, and now I'm starting to wonder because you know that ratio in Twitter, right, where you shouldn't have as many
It's generally
following
one
as your followers,
following,
right? But does
Wait,
that-
why shouldn't you? That's an interesting assumption. Why shouldn't you have as many?
No, it seems like the ones who have a lot of followers don't necessarily have the same number of following,
Oh, okay.
or they're not following the
In
same.
fact, there's some sort of like ideal ratio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's like an
And like if the numbers are too close, I think
It's like
Twitter-
1:3 or something.
Yeah.
Twitter starts looking at your account, I think, or something like that.
Oh,
yeah.
I think it's some sort of relevance gauge.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hijack it.
Yeah. No, so I'm trying to see if that applies to Pinterest because I'm trying to keep my following low and trying to get my followers higher.
I don't think so.
But it doesn't seem to apply because you do need to follow a lot of people in
Should
Pinterest.
brands be coming onto setting up Pinterest accounts now, or should they just be like experiment with it first until?
I think one. This is not necessarily a brand, but it's a website that's apartment therapy. It's
Yeah, it's a popular.
yeah, it's a popular do-it-yourself home design interior design site. It's getting a lot of pins. For instance, if you want to have visual text for how to design your house or your room, you take your cue from there. I myself have written quite a number of images from apartment therapy to serve as a reminder how I
But
want my
it
apartment.
also, one of the things that makes Pinterest interesting is it really works a lot like how a lot of creative people like for example, any interior designer they'll create a board, right?
Exactly.
So Pinterest works that way, so it's natural. So it's a natural.
It's like that
step.
show by that Queer Eye for the Straight Eye guy. He creates a visual board.
Yeah.
Right?
Brands have to be a little bit careful though, because actually using Pinterest for commercial communications is against their terms of service. That's something a lot of people don't realize.
Oh.
Yeah, so if you're like buy now, or you put the price in the corner or something like that, you could get your account canceled. So,
Nice.
and I know I've been seeing infographics. Here's 8 great ways to use Pinterest for your brand. And I'm seeing these things out there on the internet now, but yeah, it's something a lot of people don't realize is they say right there, this is not for commercial communication. So that tells me that they're going to be doing something to monetize later, and they don't want their people.
They could turn into they could pull off a lookbook or something for fashion. That's how I see it. Like for instance, I have a board for shoes, and of course when I repin something, the brander, for instance, Jimmy Choo pumps, ganyan. It automatically would give people reference. This is Jimmy Choo.
By commercial, for example, if for example, Jimmy Choo would put up a Pinterest and it just pins pictures of their
collection,
of their
yes.
collection, but no pricing or anything. That will be fine.
Well, first I'd like to say that I'm not a representative for Pinterest,
Yeah, okay.
but from my understanding of the policy, that would be fine. But if there was a buy now in the corner,
Oh, okay.
you know, there was a, you know, if it was an overtly commercial communication, I'm sure that would not be
You
okay.
could do it covertly, like that way. When you pin photos of the collections, all you have to do is click on photos and then
It
check
goes
out the
back to the
website.
site, yeah.
And then when you check the site, the prices are there.
Yeah, that's right.
No, that's why I think that's how.
No, that's it. That's how the affiliate links are working. Because basically, if you click on the link and you go to like a website where that is, and basically they
Because it says their source.
they discreetly place their affiliate code into the URL string, so they get their referral fee.
I'm going to be really interested to see how they monetize. Because they got to monetize because they have $200 million of venture capital funding. So they're going to go big when they go. I'm just waiting to see what that looks like.
200 billion.
Twitter,
Million.
this other thing, Twitter. Speaking of monetization, Twitter sort of announced that it's doing this beta test of self-service ads.
Self-service, what does that mean?
Basically, Google Ads for Twitter, self-service.
Oh,
for
Just
small
like
businesses.
Facebook. Just like Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
they're doing it very. It's only going to roll out in the US, and they're under extensive beta because they basically don't want to. They don't want. People are very resistant to getting spammed.
Yeah.
My question is, where are the ads going to appear? On the sides or in the stream?
In the stream.
Oh!
Yeah, that's what that leapt out of me when I was reading this.
Right.
In the streams.
Damn it.
You could see it coming.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you have Facebook valuations like that, and you have Twitter there.
Yeah.
You know, under no immediate pressure because of all the venture capital they have, but sooner or later,
Right.
you know.
Okay. So those are the memes, and those are the popular stuff online now. Let's talk about. I'm gonna throw out an idea out there,
Okay.
and let's see where we can go with it. I was just thinking this morning that the internet now is filled with all these memes that are funny, and it's all about a funny photo with some words in it, and it got me thinking that the internet right now, or maybe in the Philippines, is a teenager as a channel. Because when I got my internet, it was around 1994. So that would make the internet like 18 years old right now. So it's still not very mature as both as a media. As a medium or as a communication channel. So that's what's compelling in the internet now. Juvenile stuff, viral videos and everything. So maybe we will see that as just a phase, and then maybe a couple of decades from now, it'll be something more mature or more formed.
It's like the early days of radio when it was experimentation galore.
Yeah.
it's a hoot to look at the early days of radio, and then in a decade or two.
Yeah, so that like you have your formats now and how to actually advertise properly and the programming and everything. So that was the thing that I was thinking about this morning. That hey, the internet is a teenager. That's why it's acting that way. That's why that content is compelling or interesting. But maybe in a few years we'll see a different internet because it'll be more mature. If you equate the internet to a person.
Yeah, you're seeing YouTube doing it now. They're moving away from the cat videos and the puppy videos, really working on this thing.
Yeah.
Sort of becoming broadcast TV.
I think there's a lot to learn from in terms of what's going to happen from other broadcast technologies, as JB was saying. Like if you look at radio got started in the 20s, and then if you look at what that looked like in the 40s, and then in the 60s, and then if you look at TV when that got started in the 50s, and then what that looked like in the 60s and the 70s. For example, for radio, the old school radio show where they would narrate like something, like
A melodrama.
a story or a melodrama,
A radio play.
and he comes in the room.
Yeah.
And you can hear him walking, and that was
Is this a horse?
that was completely gone by the 1950s.
Yes, exactly.
That wasn't part of radio programming.
Yeah.
Rock and roll was coming up and
Yeah.
stuff like that. It was almost all music, almost all the time. And I think you're going to see, and we're already seeing things happening on the internet now. We're happening on the internet 10 years ago that no longer exists. right? There are things that we don't do anymore online because, you know, like in 20 years they're going to be talking about peer-to-peer. You know, we lost BT Junkie. We lost that last week.
That's right.
That was February 6th.
Right after the mega upload.
Right after the mega upload. And then a few months before that, we lost LimeWire. Right?
Yeah.
And so when I'm in my 60s, I'm going to be talking about this peer-to-peer downloading when I was a kid. My kids are going to be like, "What are you talking about, Dad?"
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I was thinking.
No,
even during the .com bubble of the early 2000s, since you compared the internet
to a person growing
teenager, a teenager, an adolescent in late teens. I think the internet back then during the .com bubble
it wasn't formed.
Yeah, it was in puberty. It was smarting from puberty.
Yeah, exactly.
It was
growing pains.
Yeah, and the problem was it was a 13-year-old going, "Dad, can I borrow the car keys?"
Exactly.
That's why that it exploded.
Right.
No, not just the car keys, the bank account. No, the credit card.
Yeah, but for me, I think the growth of the internet comparing to a person would be heavily leveraged on the technologies that will be developed along the line. That's why it will show that it looks like a juvenile teen having all these rats and things, because all the technologies now are suited to cater to that feeling. So once more technologies are developed, people can get their minds into it to create more mature stuff. That I think that would cause
It's also
evolution.
people figuring out what the technology is
Yes.
for.
Yeah.
So people
And they do build on what was done before.
Yes.
That's why it seems like it's maturing or getting
You
better.
already see it in this in the social media space where like Facebook is the generic social, but my professional stuff is in LinkedIn. That's where the career hunters, the headhunters.
Yes.
My headhunter friends live on LinkedIn. They do a lot of their stuff there. You know, but you see the networks are, you know, or some people use Path for the really inner circle networks that they, you know, they want to keep from Facebook, which is sort of semi-professional, semi-personal, that sort of thing. And Twitter is like broadcasting, where I want to tell the whole, what I'm comfortable telling strangers or something like that, you know.
No, that's why I think it is forming already. It's finding what it really is. Like just what you said. Now it's clear that I shouldn't have my office mates on my Facebook page, but just keep them into my LinkedIn, and then my really close friends in Path, and then the people in Twitter and so on and so forth, and then Pinterest forming, and then of course I think the ultimate maturity stage for the internet would be where you can really confidently buy stuff. Already, right? Where I'm confident I'll give my credit card information, and I know this stuff will get delivered to me. So I really think it's getting cleaned up.
Yeah. And I think that also that something that influences a lot of this are major changes in infrastructure technology. Like, for example, there's a technology that I used to use that was like, it was done before it was like up, and that was I had this really cool program that for my computer that what would happen is when I was online on dial-up before we had broadband, if my line would be busy, but what it would do is it would actually use my call waiting, so that if somebody called me, they would get a recording of my voice saying, "Hi, I'm currently online. I'll call you back in 5 minutes." I would get a pop-up message on my screen with caller ID saying who was calling, and then I could get offline and call them back. That actually, my friends, like people that were calling, were like, "I didn't know that existed." And then broadband hit, and then companies that did stuff like that all went out of business, or they changed what they were doing because it wasn't supported anymore. And
landline is starting to lose its relevance.
Yeah,
right. Absolutely.
I keep my landline only because basically the internet service came with a free landline.
Oh yeah,
so,
us too. Yeah.
You know.
So there. That's why I threw that question a couple of days back about what happens when the internet is no longer cool. Are we still going to be doing what we're doing now? Because it might lose its appeal of being a cool channel, right? Will you still want to be known as a digital marketing?
I think there will always be something new and interesting in digital marketing to come up.
I think it will always evolve.
If we look again at history, what rapidly changes channels are new channels. So like what TV did to radio, and what the internet's doing to TV. There may be something in 20 years, something new that markedly changes the way the internet gets used.
Okay.
And that could be very
And then
interesting.
you're seeing a lot of collaboration. For example, people say, "Oh, I remember going to a radio show in the U.S. NPR. I was yes at NPR.
National
So
Public Radio.
just before it starts, the guy says, "Oh, you're from the internet. You're the guys who are killing us." So it's kind of spent and that was like 3 minutes before he went on there. So I kind of spent the rest of the cast like assuring him, like, you know, no, because you see, because we have radio station, you have radio shows like this one, for example. We have radio shows that are blossoming on the internet radio, serials. You know, I mean, radio is just transforming.
Absolutely.
But the voice itself isn't going away.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know? And TV,
Same thing with print.
Same
It's
with
just on your
print.
iPad or your
Yeah.
tablet, but it's still reading.
and the form's changing. Like you're beginning to see you're beginning to see the navigational paradigms that people are beginning to like. You know, people prefer Flipboard, people prefer Pulse, the people prefer Zite, which will ultimately become like the navigation paradigm. You know, and there's still a lot of people who are very comfortable with what we call the page flippers.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I feel like, oh, it's just a page flipper. And no, I like page flippers. I love my iPad because it's a page flipper. And I'm like, okay, I mean, you know, that makes you happy. It's easy for us to do.
I'm old school like that. I like the tactile feeling of having to flip through paper still.
That's why a lot of ebook readers have like, you know, the
I still read
paper,
books.
you know.
No, that's funny you mentioned that because I was thinking before. You know how in a movie trailer when you stop the scene, there's a sound like a record getting scratched. I'm like, do the kids still know what that sound means? So the same thing that
Maybe not
if you
even
do flip a
consciously.
page on your tablet, pretty soon people will wonder why do we need to do
You
this?
saw that YouTube video of this baby was given a printed magazine and he started.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
He was like
yes.
touching it like an iPad. You know.
So pretty soon they wouldn't know what a page flip is or like a record
One of my cousins was telling me this story. Like, it was, you know, kids' parties are great laboratories for this sort of thing. Kid goes, there's this aquarium, right? The fish are swimming around. Kid goes up to aquarium and he touches the fish and he's making as if to drag it. And he's like, why is the fish not
moving along.
moving
Yeah.
along
with my
you know?
finger.
You know, and of course the fish is also traumatized because you're not supposed to touch
Yeah.
the screen of
Or
the aquarium
tap it too much.
or tap
I
it. You know.
think this is the advent of the sense of touch joining the sense of sight and the sense of hearing, and you know, parang channeling remote information. The sense of touch is emerging to become the third dimension. You know, and all of
You
the
can see
five
it,
senses.
you can see it
yeah.
alone. You know, I think smartphones and touch interfaces
Yes,
help
yes.
develop that, or you know, haptic keyboards and all that have become pretty standard.
Yeah, but what happens though when something like Siri explodes and everything is voice activated now, right? Because that could take over the whole touch thing. I mean, I can just say whatever I want to say, and the computer or the phone
I think it will
reacts
just be
a
some.
response.
I think Ricky, it will just form
Yeah,
another
another-
school
yeah.
of thought. Like for instance, there are people who are more visual and would prefer to just
Manipulate
manipulate
things
things
by touch,
via touch. There are people who are more verbose and would like to
it's
just
also-
do something instantaneous such as that.
It's also the context. Like there are environments where it's preferable to to touch and silently manipulate things. Already in the U.S. there's some ethical etiquette issues coming up because there are people who are evidently dining alone in the U.S. and spending the whole night talking to Siri.
Okay, so it's happening.
The other diners are like,
What's the
guys
crazy doing over there?
yeah, who's that crazy dude over there talking? I mean, having a conversation with Siri.
So yeah, so see, it's happening. It's happening. In the
Siri
States
called
already.
my date.
And then speaking of page flippers, I download a lot of magazines on my iPad, and I'm still always wondering why they couldn't make the pages that you can highlight the words and then copy paste it into Twitter. What's up with that?
It's the technology of the implementation of the books. if they're using EPUB, the standard, you can do the highlighting, you can do the
And paste it into a Twitter, into a
So
tweet.
it's a matter of formatting. So
Like
Okay.
our digital edition has that because
Yeah.
it adds what we call a layer,
Layer.
on top of
Yes.
the underlying PDF. What you're really looking at is the Adobe Portable Document Format technology, which its whole reason for being was to preserve the layout of print. But in doing so, it's appearance based. It's not structured.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
So that's why converting a PDF into an EPUB or another format is not. I tried all these automatic converters and
doesn't.
no. You
What
don't
if
need
I'm
it.
an editor and want to do proofing and still want to edit via-
Adobe has tools for that, and it's because Adobe the PDF is actually part of the whole document processing thing. Have you ever filled out a form on PDF that routes itself?
Yeah.
I don't know how many companies have it, but Adobe can have the technology where it's completely paperless from digital
Yes,
signing and all. You basically don't have to ever print a form ever.
Ricky, you gave me a good idea.
Okay.
This is for you since you're the one that does the mobile apps and stuff like that. You could, I'm a user experience guy, so when you said, what I want to do is I want to be able to highlight and put it in Twitter.
Yeah.
What would be really cool is as soon as you highlight it, if a little bird icon popped up and I could just touch it and it would
Yeah,
take me right into my
exactly.
Twitter,
Exactly.
be ready to go, and I could just hit the button and go.
The Amazon Kindle has that.
Oh, okay.
And Kindle editions have that. You can highlight a word or anything, and then you can say tweet or post or store your notes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because you'd think that it would get them more traffic if people would share a bit of the content and then lead them back to downloading the magazine or.
There are a lot of books that there's now this thing called social reading, where you're reading like some Kindle books I've read. You open them up and you can, if you choose, you can view what other people have
What the
highlighted
notes
in that
are,
book. or
okay,
their
that-
Oh, that's very
cool.
interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah, which is good and bad because good in the sense that you can it's a social experience. It's also bad in that like reading is one of the last few things where you can really lean back
private.
and be by yourself.
Yeah.
Oh,
It can be a
yeah.
little
Escapism.
disorienting to like see other people, chatting right along with you. Especially if you're a book that's a cliffhanger and people are already talking about it. So now we're starting to
He
get
dies in the
spoilers.
end.
The sister did it. Damn it!
It should be a red highlighter.
Or white text or something.
Yeah.
No, but
Or redacted.
on the same vein, what about like books where you can change some of the content so it's like a brand? So, for example, the story talks about maybe a specific pair of shoes, but then you say you can change that into Nike or Floor Shines or something. So it's advertising, but it's subtle, wherein it really talks about that anyway. It's part of the story, but it will be customized for you. They know you're a fan of the Gap or whatever, and then you'll see that in
Cases of
there.
that. Like my favorite example is the this cookbook app made by Kraft.
Okay.
Okay, it's a cookbook app, quite of all using all the craft ingredients. So cool, great, right? It's free. It's advertising. They charge for it. They actually charge for an app for the app. And so I kind of get over the fact that not only is it advertising, people are being paid to be advertised too.
Yeah.
So I was like,
How much
whoa.
does the app cost?
Oh, like some $3 or $4.
Okay.
And I mean, not outrageous. I mean, I just figured that hey, people find it useful, and that's if we can make revenue another way, let's charge for it. And everything.
People trust the brand, so the people don't mind.
No, and it's
paying for the
it's
app.
amazing how like if you put out content on the web and you suddenly say put a paywall, people freak out.
Yeah,
Get the content,
package it.
and repackage it as a book.
Yeah,
People don't think twice about
Right.
paying $4 or $5 for it.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's really interesting. Like McKinsey Quarterly, they used to be a paid subscription. They would give you they'd give a couple articles for free, but if you want to be able to read the whole thing, it was a paid subscription. And back when they were doing that, I was always wondering, man, because at the time I was running a tiny little management consulting firm myself, not exactly a competitor. We did something different, but and we were putting out stuff too. And I always thought, man, I wonder what they're making on that. And then one day, they brought the paywall down and they just put it all out for free. And I was like, well, I guess they weren't making enough.
So they figured they could make money in other ways.
Right. Well, they must have thought that the other ways were going to make them more than they were making on the subscription model. So they changed
Because
it.
like a marketing research thing, basically the marketing thing is you send out all these white papers, right?
Right,
And
absolutely.
they're great, they're wonderful, and
And you
people read
want-
them. But you realize after reading a couple of them that they don't really give away the real secrets and stuff.
Yeah,
Like entices
correct.
you to engage. You, at the very least, you feel okay. These people seem to know their stuff. Then you have the face-to-face meeting, and that's where the expertise
Just
really
get you
comes out.
hooked.
Yeah. It's just like a credentials thing that hey, we know what they're talking about.
Yeah. Oh, content marketing is very, very nuanced. We do a lot of that where I work, and like we like when we publish white papers, we publish them not just to a target market, but to where in the buying cycle. Like so, like we'll do an early buying cycle paper or a late buying cycle paper, and the early buying cycle papers are more like just like general tips, how to go about because if you think about it, like. Buying cycles on different things are different lengths of time. A buying cycle on buying a stick of gum is about 10 seconds, right? A buying cycle on buying a set of dishes for your house might be a couple of weeks. If you think about what do I like, what does my wife like, what's going to look into place.
A couple of months.
Right, a house, on average, house is 3 months, car is a month and a half, and so for something like a business-to-business transaction, the buying cycle can be really long as people are like, okay, like for example, I want to hire a PR firm. What kind of PR firm do I want to hire? How do I go about hiring a PR firm? So like a story I like to tell about this is I didn't know that I was being sold to, but when I was 19 years old, I went to buy my first used car, and I went out to a used car lot, and I went in, and the guy saw me coming, and he was in his mid-30s, and his first question was, how many car lots have you been to? And I said, this is my first one. So immediately he qualified where I was in the buying cycle, although I didn't know at the time. And he said, all right, have a seat. I'm not going to sell you a car today. We're not even going to go look at any cars on the lot. And I was like, okay. He goes, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you how to go out and buy a car. Okay. These are the questions to ask the guy. These are the things to look at. And he spent 20 minutes. He got me a little styrofoam cup of instant coffee, and we talked about how to buy a car. And he said, don't buy any car until you've been to at least 5 different lots. And I was like, okay. And I went out to 5 different lots. And then I came back and I bought a car from him. Why? Because he had the credibility, because he didn't ask me for anything in the beginning, right? And the car I bought from him was fine. It was great. It ran as long as I had it. That's a really good lesson as to how early and late, and the late buying cycle stuff is when I came back. That's when he closed me on the car, right? Because I was ready. So early buying cycle papers are more like, here are 9 tips on how to go about, finding a PR firm that suits your needs. Late buying cycle is more like, here's how to actually qualify the firm and see if this is the right firm for you. And so you have to write that article differently to a brand manager or to a corp com professional, to an attorney, depending on what their actual needs are.
And thanks to all these technologies now, it's never been easier to send these white or disseminate this white news.
That's right. That's right.
Just go to the Kindle marketplace. Tons and tons and tons of single articles there. And Amazon's recommendation engine is frightening. So I just downloaded one Kindle single, and so I was like, oh, this is this great Kindle single. It is exactly what I was looking for at that moment.
Wow.
And their price, they're only like $1 or $2.
I
thought some magazine publisher who buy Kindle books all the time. His rule is, if it's $5 or $6 or below, it's an impulse buy.
It's almost a no-brainer.
If it's bad, then
you lose money.
It's only like it's like $14, like $11 and up. Like, let's get a sample first. And there's an art to making samples. It turns out.
Like how?
You have to simplify your front matter a lot, so you get more of the text into the sample.
But isn't it by default the first few pages?
It is, but what happens is, especially with books that are
so now you have to write the first few pages a certain way.
The first, the book starts off with the title, which is 1 page. The dedication, which is another page. That takes away from the actual text. By the time the reader's done with all your what we call front matter, there may not be that much text there. So
right.
I've experienced this where it gets to
title,
right away.
DOC, and copyright all on 1 page. The rest of it is the rest of the text. You'll increase your buy-throughs because people get more of the sample. And my experience is the bigger the sample is, the more, if you hook me, especially if you're a good one and we just went at the ends and it's a cliffhanger, and it's like, buy now.
Interesting.
Right.
So let's talk about on the last third of the show. Let's talk about what's coming up. Anything you want to discuss that's coming up, that's going to be launching soon? Any new features and so on and so forth? Well, we can start with the news about the brand pages on Facebook being in a time limit. Your thoughts on that?
Scary.
Or is that a given? Okay, it's gonna
I
happen.
think it might be scary for some brands who have had irate customers who have been
Yes.
posting
Because it
stuff
will
on
now
their
be
walls.
easy to go back
Yes,
a couple of
it-
years
For
or a year back.
instance, if you there's a brand and a company for instance, there's a brand and then a supplier or someone who wants to get them as a supplier wants to get them, and then it's a lot easier to do background checks.
Yeah.
And if you're not careful enough, if you're not able to weed out all the nasty stuff that has been posted back in 2007 or in 2008, you
Bite you back.
your history will come bite you in the ass.
Mhm.
Which means all the more that you really have to work on resolving any major customer service situation.
Yeah.
Because if it was resolved nicely, then it will also be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, my instinct is it's ultimately good for the consumer.
Yeah.
It may not be
Yeah,
good
for
for
the
the brand, but it'll be good for the consumer.
Good for the brand in the long term.
Yeah.
I think short term.
It'll be good for the good brands.
Even the up and coming brands will learn how to be more vigilant
Yeah.
with their with how they present themselves, how they engage with their
And then also because Facebook is more of a permanent character. Like for example, Twitter, it's so evanescent. I mean,
Yeah.
you have a huge conflagration.
It's so hard
As long as
to
you catch it right away,
Yeah.
It's so
it will
volatile.
not.
You know, it's going to increase the market for companies like Gaia X. Are you all familiar with Gaia X?
Yeah, exactly. Because
Yeah.
you can now
Gaia
people
X-
need their services.
Yeah, Gaia X is a company that does 24/7 Facebook monitoring.
All
And
of your
so-
comments from
Everything.
way
And so they guarantee a response time of 2 hours, but they say their average is more like 15 minutes. So if somebody posts something on your Facebook, they can get to it and respond for
Even
you.
if it's an old status message, right? They can spot the.
I don't know if they do archival stuff, but I know for like stuff that's happening now, if somebody posts something, negative or something like that, they'll do a what they call a response grid, a reaction grid with you. So it's like if it's this kind of a comment, respond this way. If it's that kind of a comment, respond that way. And if it's a comment that doesn't fit
Is
in
it
any
human? Is it human based?
It's human.
It is.
It's eyes on
It
page.
is.
Yeah, yeah. So and if it's a comment that doesn't fit in any other categories, notify us, and then we'll get on and respond. Right. So yeah. So
So
yeah.
they're basically handling first order.
Yeah, exactly. This particular company, I'm sure they have competitors. I don't know who they are. This particular company is based out of Japan. But they opened an office in the Philippines
Yeah.
last year.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, they will benefit from that for those brands who really want to react right away to even old posts.
And that's good because otherwise they'd have to hire a small army.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Just to look at it.
Especially if your brand is a big consumer brand.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Anything else? Anything else that's up and coming? Anything?
On my end, I'm very excited about ebooks in the Philippines.
Yes.
It's I just finished on with a great company called Flipreads, which is doing Filipino ebooks,
Yeah.
and
Okay. So
I just put
they're
up
online
my
ones.
ebooks there because I realized I'm a big Amazon Kindle guy, but not everyone wants to be an Amazon Kindle bandwagon, and they want to be spread out as much as possible. So I just released some books on the iBook store, but I've also released books on Flipreads because they charge in pesos, which is a big deal, and they allow mobile cash. You can pay through GCash or Smart
Oh,
Money,
okay.
which is great.
Yeah.
So very good, great company to talk to, and
When you say your ebooks, you've written some books.
no, what I've done is like the Inquirer is sitting on like tons and tons of content. So
Oh,
what we
okay.
did was like we compiled all of Chief Justice Panganiban's columns.
Okay.
We got a good selection of them, and right now it's selling quite well because he's a former Supreme Court justice. So what I tweet is, you want to know how the Supreme Court really works? Then it's in this book.
Nice.
It tells you how they break into divisions, how they
You're
how they
creating
wrestle.
your old content.
Yes, yes. We also have an ebook for the impeachment, which is a weird experiment because it's what I call a live ebook, for lack of a better term, meaning that
It updates.
every week I updated it. Right now,
The never-ending story.
yes, what's happening is we're getting the transcripts of the sessions, and also we're getting key resolutions.
Amazing.
the background for this is usually when a big news organization covers a major event, like there's a research team, and they come up with these internal papers for the reporters. That's just to make sure the reporters all have the same background. Now, you know this, I mean, like if you've ever worked in radio or TV, there's usually this gigantic staff meeting. Okay, guys, and they distribute these papers. These are background facts. So if you're ever doing a stand-upper, you're not going to mess up. Okay? So I said, why don't we make this, publish this, because the impeachment, I've covered the 2001 impeachment, and I said, going to be like legal terms galore, and people are going to want to reference.
Right.
So, you know, and the senators using shorthand, they'll say, no, that's not covered by, that's covered under 2.4, that's, you know, and you're left there. If you're a television, you're like, what the hell is 2.4?
Yeah.
So that's why we came up with this ebook. So
Good for you, though. I mean, because I heard on the radio this week that they were thinking of doing a palibhasa lalaki reunion, and I was and it got
I
me.
love that.
It got me thinking. Yeah, I'm sure there's an audience out there who would want to watch those old episodes again, but somehow our media companies, both TV and film, and I'm talking about Seiko Films, Regal Films here, who don't really archive their stuff. And now that it's the digital age, it would have been nice to have those available on video, on internet video, where you can
that's
download
true.
it.
I mean, we don't.
Because you'll always find somebody who want to watch
It's a
that.
maddening problem because we don't. We're lucky in the Inquirer that the librarian was fanatical about keeping all the old issues.
Because now you can just reissue
well,
that
actually-
again on digital form, and you find an audience for
Well,
it,
yes,
right?
yeah. In fact, like aside from we did a 25th anniversary book, and we're basically like coming up with this content, like going through our archives and bringing up stuff that and re-releasing them. It's a print and an ebook, and it's doing quite well.
Yeah, so it's just too bad that Viva Films or Regal Films, they don't have these films on digital form where they can reissue it now for
Well,
download.
the Mowal Fund was trying, but it's basically a lot.
Sophia also.
Yeah, a lot of our old
Yeah.
films really. I mean, that's from Wanapon's
Yeah,
obsession,
Ramon,
right?
yes.
I mean, a lot of our old films are. I mean,
They're gone.
They're gone.
They're gone.
They're gone. So,
Which is sad.
yeah, you know.
Anything else, guys? For anything else you want to discuss that's up and coming online?
You want me to talk about the future of digital?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah. Well, let's discuss that.
All right. So it's too bad that Carlos isn't here, because then we would have had one person from each tier in the group. It would have been interesting. But okay. So I wrote a blog post earlier today about my opinions about the future of digital marketing, and basically what I said is that digital marketing right now can be divided up into 3 tiers, and the third tier is sort of emerging now. And the first tier is individual consultants. The second tier is digital firms that have usually between a dozen and sometimes up to 100 people. And then the third tier, the emerging tier, is PR agencies and marketing communications firms that are very forward-looking and that are adapting to new technologies now, which is what my firm is, what my agency has started to do when they hired me. I was a solo consultant. Well, I had a little team, but I was basically a solo consultant, and then I got bought out by an integrated marketing communications agency here in the Philippines, a big one, and now I head their digital department. So. But what I said that's interesting is that the blog title is the future of digital marketing. Solo consultants, the future isn't pretty for you. Although I don't mean that in that they're going to get out of the field. What I sort of see digital marketing as evolving similar to how web design developed in the late 90s and early 2000s.
The webmaster became teams.
Yeah, right. But what was interesting is in 1997, a friend of mine calls me up. He goes, "Have you ever heard of something called HTML?" And I said, "You laugh, but nobody back then knew what it was." And I said, "Yeah, I can code HTML." He goes, "Can you teach me?" I said, "Sure." I taught him over the weekend. 18 months later, that guy was making $80,000 a year. And working for a digital firm that was contracting to Microsoft, and I'm from Seattle, so they were right there in the headquarters, and it was doing great because back then, if you were a solo consultant and you were actually good at what you did, you could do a lot.
Typical of the early stages when expertise is relatively limited.
Exactly, that's the point. And so, but what happened to them is what's going to happen and is starting to happen to solo consultants now, which is they're going to get the business-minded ones are going to open their own digital firms, and they're going to get bigger, and the non-entrepreneurial ones are going to go to work either for those guys and gals. Or for in-house at bigger brands that have their own digital marketing departments, and these brands are starting to get these things now. And
the challenge there is getting like I'm myself solo entrepreneur is to adjust to teamwork, because admittedly not all of us are team players.
Right, exactly.
Like Tony Stark.
I'm the worst team player there is. I work really bad in the teams. So whenever there's something that requires teamwork, people like us really have to exert a lot of effort in delivering equitable work or meeting deadlines.
Or you provide such unique skill set, and you're always providing a unique skill set, which means that you're forever on the outer edge, on the fast bleeding edge, where you need to maintain your uniqueness.
Right, and another thing that we're seeing now is that it's becoming increasingly specialized. As web design did. It used to be you were just a web designer, and that was the title for everything. And now we have UX specialists, and we have content specialists, and we have people that just code, SEO, right? It's now very, very specialized, and digital marketing is specializing exactly with different specialties, but exactly the same way.
It's kind of a maturing industry.
Exactly. But one thing I think is interesting about all this is I think that the that third tier I'm talking about, the integrated marketing communications agencies, they're going to present a real danger to the digital firms, because you see what some marketing communications firms are doing is they're outsourcing to digital firms, and that's working for them. But then that means they're adding a markup onto what they're charging. What the really forward-thinking firms are doing is they're buying small digital firms, or they're filling up their own digital marketing departments so that they can compete. And so those digital firms in the middle are going to have a hard time, because the big ones, the big PR firms, they've already got the Fortune 500 clients, and so they don't have to say, okay, we have digital, let's go out and find clients. They're going to sell digital to their current clients. And then after that's working pretty well, then they're going to go out. So, and I just gave away my company's strategy, which is okay, because it's not a secret. Brad and Moore have been telling that to the industry for years, that it's going this direction, so it's okay.
You have this specialization and then consolidation.
Right, absolutely. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next 5 years.
Okay, and on that note, we conclude another episode of Drinking Digital. Again, this has been your host, Ricky Baez, Digital Marketing Executive for Nestle Philippines. And this has been Drinking Digital, the first and only weekly podcast here in the Philippines that talks exclusively about digital communications. I'd like to thank our guests for gracing the show.
Hans, where are you, man? You were supposed to be here.
Instead of make it. So maybe next week.
You guys just go on without me.
Next time. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Francis.
He's busy sucking blood.
Thank you very much. Marga, thank you very much, JD. Thank you. It's great having you guys on the show. Please come back again next week for another episode of Drinking Digital. This has been episode 17. Please check out our other episodes at battleaxenetwork.com, and also check out our other podcast, The Powder Room with Erica Paredes and Margo Cortez. And we are broadcasting live from Beyond the Box here at One Rockwell. I'd like to thank Mr. Kenneth Tan for our logo. Please check out his portfolio at ken.ph. And I'd also like to thank, of course, Mr. Miguel, the man with the plan, Pindo, our guy behind the guy. And check us out again next week for another episode of Drinking Digital. The weekend begins now in 5, 4, 3. Thank you.
I'm just a man.